Hello, welcome to today's video. And now in the Eastern Pacific now, since the recording of yesterday's video, the Invest 95E was designated as Tropical Storm Enrique. This morning it was more located a little bit further south around here. It was designated at 9Z this morning, so around 2 a.m. Pacific time, and then was classified directly to tropical storm status. And the storm since then has had a pretty impressive round of intensification. Slightly higher than I expected, and I can sort of see it strengthening as the sun goes down as basin-wide visible satellite picture off the system remains off the Pacific coast of Mexico. You see the latest advisory increasing intensity of Enrique to 55 knots to 65 miles per hour and a pressure of 996 millibars. As the system tracks west-northwest. As the system tracks west-northwest on a track that's An event on track is supposed to remain relatively offshore. I would expect it surrounds this ridge with high pressure. It just shows some signs of a northerly movement before turning westward, and it could, in about 5 days, threaten the Baja California Peninsula. So I'm not sure how much will be left of Enrique at the time. Yeah, the tropical storm warnings up to basically the Wahao, Michoacan border, all the way through almost Puerto Vallarta, and then for much of the Jalisco coast is a trop to San Blas, as far north as San Blas. There's a tropical storm watch in effect. This is storm watch in effect. You can sort of see when it's on the. I think Enrique is in an excellent position to really intensify. Probably the first case. And considering the past couple years in space have been less active compared to 2014 to 2018. There's only been a handful of these sort of classic rapid intensification cases in space in the past 3 years now, and this is one of them. We don't really have a good idea what's going on in microwave, and I'll get to that in a second. Actually, no, I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll get to. Actually, no, I won't show it. Never mind. I thought I had it pulled up. But anyway, we haven't really had a good microwave pass to see what's going on inside. Though I suspect, given the relative organization that's shown, and as well as well-defined code band signature and moisture envelope, since it does, even though the atmosphere north of around 20 N or so seems quite dry, the system is relatively close to the Mexican coast where the relative humidity values tend to be higher, and secondly has a good moisture envelope that's shielding off the dry. I can sort of see the on blackboard. I can sort of see the somewhat of a solid sea of at least black or white in terms of cloud top temperature on the Dvorak enhancement scale. So it's currently like a high-end. So it's reachable of at least a high-end tropical storm. There was an ASCAP pass earlier today that showed had wind estimates weaker than what Dvorak intensity estimates at the time suggested. So there's some reasonable uncertainty. I mean, there's some reasonable uncertainty on how strong this actually is. But I do suspect the system is, depending on assuming there's a microwave and a core established on microwave, but that will be shown when microwave eventually passes through the system, or will microwave imagery eventually intercepts the system. Assuming that there's an inner core established, I don't think Enrique is very far off from being declared a marginal hurricane. The current intensity knots of 55 knots is probably adequate for now, however. Now, the system has at least about 24 hours to intensify. Could be more, could be less, because the biggest heat event is the system is moving relatively slowly. That's likely to put some. The biggest heat event is that Enrique is moving relatively slowly, and that's likely to result in some upwelling of cold water beneath its wake. And that in itself can slow down the rate of intensification. The current estimates The gold models don't peak just for about 54 hours, I believe, is when the GFS does it. But I mean, they tend to peak systems too late, and they don't tend to do a very good job. They're not really coupled in a way where the system can accurately depict the amount of upwelling that's occurring. So, but regardless, the system has a prior 24 to 48 hour window, if I had to take a guess, and depending on to intensify, and usually that difference can be the difference between like a high-end Category 1 hurricane peak and a Category 4 hurricane peak. Of course, it would not surprise me if the system starts somewhat randomly starts having drier or shear issues. We even see the outflow becoming a little bit restricted on the north side, as there is some slight northerly wind shear from the upper level anti-cyclone being displaced over the Mexican coast. And you can sort of see that land. I'll get to that in a second. But land pack wise, I think much of the Mexican coast is going to likely have much of the Mexican Riviera is like to have some sort of effect as far as anywhere from Oaxaca to maybe even Sinaloa and eventually the Baja California Peninsula, so I get to at least experience some sort of effects from this tropical storm, as well as a pretty large and vigorous circulation. And later on, the remnant system is actually also going to provide some rain to the southwestern United States. But in the meantime, I think the most immediate scenario with Enrique is that it's continued steady intensification. The latest Dvorak intensity estimates at T3.5 from SAB. If you assume about Dvorak intensity of gaining about something like this, gaining 1 Dvorak number per day, that would put Enrique at around T4.5 to 70 about a day, and then about T5.0 in 2 days. However, the system has been intensifying a little bit faster than that rate. So at this point, I don't think, and even though there's some uncertainty on exactly when the system will peak, I think we're at the point now. I think it's more likely than not to become a major hurricane. Look at the GFS forecast briefly. You can see it peaks the system in about 54 hours, then kind of fizzles out pretty quickly, partially due to colder waters and northern winters. There's generally a sharp, right around here, there's usually a sharp sea surface temperature thermocline, or sharp sea surface temperature gradient that's going to lead to weakening. You can see the total. You can see some of the worst rainfalls I could be honest for much of the Mexican. The GFS is now forecasting up to really 8 to 10 inches of rain along very coastal areas on the Pacific coast of Mexico. And they also bring some lighter precipitation, some lighter 1 to 2 inches of precipitation to the Baja California Peninsula. Anyhow, that's it for today's video. I think this should summarize where we are with Enrique. To recap, Enrique is a 55-knot tropical storm that's likely to intensify and become a pretty potent hurricane over the next couple of days. There's some uncertainty on how much of upwelling of cold water the storm's relative slow motion will kick in and cause a weakening. So that's like the biggest uncertainty going forward with Enrique. But the odds at this point are pretty likely that the system is going to become a major hurricane. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye.